So this week on the podcast, we've got a special guest, Raheem Grant, joining us here on the show. Welcome, Raheem. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, and appreciate you.
So, usually I start off just asking some questions like, how'd you get into trucking? How'd you get into trucking?
It started last year, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
When I was in my recovery after surgery, and I
yeah.
said I need to do something financial to set me up, to do something with myself. So I got my LLC last year, my EIN number,
Yeah.
and then I can't get my CDL, so I went to the bulk truck industry. In November of last year, that's when I got my authority active.
Okay, great. Yeah, and so you've been finding freight and hauling freight for yourself since then?
Yes, sir. And Monday, I start a new route as a subcontractor with Home Depot.
Okay, great.
Yes. Sir.
So you excited about that?
Yeah, that on being on the road is tough as a box truck operator.
Yeah, and especially hauling freight, finding freight, managing a business, right? That's a lot to take on getting into this business.
Right, right. And people think it's you gon' you gonna jump rich time you get authority. No, it don't work like that. But you got to see you gonna see some negative in that count. You gonna see some down days, but through it all, you got to keep yourself motivated.
Yeah, yeah, trucking's a money intensive business, that's for sure. And you got to hustle. There's no stop to it, especially when you're trying to do things on your own like you've been doing.
So it's just like next week, it'll be my 3rd year sobriety anniversary. So it's
Awesome.
like appreciate you. So it's like a gift to me that's opened up a new door on Monday, and then on Tuesday is my 3rd day. I mean 3rd year. So it's just like everything come in order, and especially when we think life is about to break down, things about to be falling apart. Sometimes we just got to be patient.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny. I was working on the podcast stuff before our call here today, and I was listening. I don't know how far back your music tastes go or what kind of music you're into, but I was listening to Big Mike Having Things song from I think probably back in the 90s. And one of the lines in there is, it's time for a change, and change came in time. And sometimes it's all about the right time. And sometimes you got to wait, like you said. Sometimes you got to push, and it's hard to know which one to do. Um,
Right.
but you just try to get it to fit in where it's supposed to fit in life.
Wow, that saying is true because I just post on Facebook like sobriety. I talk about sobriety all the time, and those who listening, if you battle with sobriety, you really want to change. Sober play a big old part of the change you want to see in your life, and I'm a witness, and it's like the sobriety when you get sober, your mindset start changing on more positive than negative and what people done hurt you, this and that. You get what I'm saying? So it's just
Yeah.
like sobriety play a whole big part of the change you want to see in your life. And I came from nothing, came from poverty. And all my life I've been an alcoholic. And April the 22nd of 2022 was my last day. I gave it up alcohol. In 2022, it's just like I was at my lowest point, at my darkness. So I couldn't call on nobody, and I'm not holding nothing. But the man upstairs, I believe in him. And when things was dark for me, he was the only one that pulled me through. And sometimes God will put you in a situation that you can't depend on nobody else. So it's like I was staying in a hotel, nothing in the bank account. I couldn't even afford noodles, a pack of noodles. I only could afford my room that day.
Yeah.
So it's just like God kept opening a door for me to get me a little extra dollar. I don't care if it was just 50 cent extra.
Yeah.
I could have keep that 50 cent toward a pack of noodles. You get what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for every step I take in my journey. And it's like it was one door that's open that it's not a high paying job, but it was enough money I make a week to had enough to pay for a whole week of my hotel and to put groceries in my hotel. So I level up slowly. And this trucking, it's like, how did I came got the funds with the, the bill to start my trucking? I sacrificed. I walked 2.5 hours at work. I was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and every dollar I made, I put it toward what needed to be done with getting my business started. And so
Yeah.
that's how I started and got connection. You know, I ain't gonna talk
Yeah.
your head out, but
Yeah. I mean, that's what it takes, right? To get to some of the things you want in life is be willing to part with some other things. Sometimes
right,
it could be an addiction to something. It could be making sacrificial choices with what you spend your money on, right? You got to get after it, but hustle's one side of the equation. What you do with the money you get from hustling, those choices matter too to get ahead.
right, right.
So how did what what got it into trucking from that, that moment where you were at your lowest, and then how do you find trucking in that?
But construction. I
Okay.
used to heavy equipment construction, the off road dump truck. I've been doing that since '05, off and on, since
Hmm.
2005. So it's just like I said, I wanted my CDLs, but I couldn't leave that drink alone. I wanted my CDLs. I was just about to sign up for Savannah's technical caller for CDL program, and I got my DUI. Boom. I got my second DUI. Boom. I got my third DUI. So it's like I got restricted off my CDL for 10 years. So when I was I am a transgender, a trans guy. So when I had my top surgery, last year January, I was like in my recovery moment. I got
Yep.
I had to request days off of work, and I said, man, I need to do something with myself. I need to start me a business that can bring me to financial stability,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
I'm tired living paycheck to paycheck, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
or whatever. So since I couldn't get my CDL, I bought a truck pop up in my head. So I started doing research, like YouTube and like, okay. And my very first time inside a bought a truck, I was supposed to go to Virginia, and I was scared as hell. I was scared of the mountains, the hills, and whatever. Not the mountain, but I was scared of the slope, but with the thing. I was scared of them things, but at the moment is the fear. All fear will stop the doors that we want to get in. So I had to push past my fear. Right now, I'm grateful that God allowed me to keep my authority active, even if I don't have enough for myself right now. I know it's gonna be greater in the future. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I hear people talk about the low rate, the low paying rate. I block them type of people out of because for one, they don't know what nobody came from. Working 10 hours, doing day labor, bringing home $50 and $60. I used to do. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's like getting a load for $600 driving 6 and 7 hours. I think I did pretty damn good, leveling up for where I came from. Even though some people might say that's a low paying rate and you got to pay for fuel, you got to crawl before you walk. Having a new authority, you're going to have some challenges. A lot of brokers ain't going to work with you. You got to
Right.
you got to have certain lows to them to work with you. And you got to wait the 6 months so them they can trust you with their lows. So it's like you got to do what you got to do to get where you're going.
Yeah. And even thinking back to the 90s when I got started, there were times before I got into trucking full time. I had a job at a warehouse. I was a day laborer. My job was to pick up boxes or bags. There were canvas bags and magazines. And I don't know why the factory was built this way, but somebody had to stand next to one conveyor and pick up of anywhere from a 50 to 100 pound canvas bag of magazines. And I had to put it up on a conveyor that I had to lift it, up shoulder high, head high. And that's what I did for 8 hours for $50. Right. So yeah, some of those cheap loads I hauled in trucking, it was better than that job. I can tell
You
you
better
that
preach.
much.
And you better preach that.
Yeah.
And I bet you work harder in that warehouse than in that driving in that truck.
Yeah, they came up to me and they were like, "You did awesome. You want to come back tomorrow?" And I'm like, "No, I don't ever want to come back here again." Like, I got to motivate myself to find something that's not putting these magazines on this other conveyor. And like, why don't you just move the conveyor and point it over here so nobody ever has to stand in this spot again? Because I couldn't imagine a worse punishment if I would have had to kept doing that day after day. But sometimes that's what motivates you too. And yeah, and trucking has ups and downs. Usually it's around a 5-year cycle. But in those down cycles, man, we hauled some cheap freight, just like people are hauling today, because you got mouths to feed, you got bills to pay. It's better than nothing. And everybody's got a different equation about what's worth it to them on that day and whether they want to sit it out and wait for something better. And sometimes you don't have a choice. Like you just got to go and try to get back to something better.
You better say that thing. You better say it.
Nobody wants to haul it for cheap. Um,
Mm-mm.
but I mean, that's the nature of the game is who's ever hungry. If there's somebody out there who haul it for a little bit less, then because they need to have it a little bit worse than you do, then that's part of the game too.
You right.
I mean, we all wish it would just have a guaranteed minimum rate or something like that, but that's how it works. They had a guaranteed minimum rate at that job at that warehouse lifting them bags, and it was $8 an hour. So I didn't really like that game either.
And see, Monday, when I'm starting with Home Depot, they got a little set little pay. It's like
Yep,
you do 12 or 15 drops a day.
yep,
Sometimes like 12 or 15 drops a day, but you're not on the road. You got dedicated lanes. So it's like you locally. So you'll be like less fuel, less headache,
yeah,
less looking on load boards. Just go to Home Depot, let them load you up, and you drop it off. So I can't wait to start Monday to see how this journey goes.
yeah. That sounds good. I'm glad you got something you're looking forward to. But that's and whether it's trucking or whether it's life, that's the nature of it, right? It's what are you going to trade and to get what in return, right? So everything's just a trade-off in life, and you got to figure out for you where's the right trade to make.
You right about that.
And everybody's got a little bit different equation of how it works for them, right? There's things I definitely would have done in my 20s that now that I'm almost 50, I'm like, yeah, like you're not going to find me in that warehouse today. I don't think I could make it half hour trying to do that work right now, but I could do it when I was 19 years old. Uh, and that trade was fair because I needed $50 really bad. I needed something to eat and I had bills
Right.
to pay that month, so I didn't want to be there, but I had to be. Well, one thing that I saw, in your post that really made me happy inside was your encouragement of other people who are facing similar struggles that you've faced in the past, being willing to give out encouragement for people to keep going.
Go backwards, and we could be back where we came from tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that's why I try to keep everybody, even by me motivating somebody else, it motivate me to keep going. I would think about my little me working day labors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what keep me motivated on the road and keep me motivated in the journey. And a lot of folks don't want to talk about their bad habits, but me, I was the type you wouldn't even catch me on this video because I was a shy person. It took alcohol to for me to communicate.
Hmm.
I still working on my communication skills, so that's why I didn't mind because I'm working. It helped me build myself up in communicating with others and
Yeah.
about my lifestyle. So it's like me and other people did a book called Victorious. It talk about our overcoming our addiction. We got a book out. I posted on Facebook. It's on Facebook. My book. So I pass it out for people, to read it. It's up to
Hmm.
them to take in and do they want recovery, you know. So I gotta say, I'm glad things happen the way my life was going now. because I done messed it up with my addiction. So it's best to fix your addiction before you try to move forward doing stuff like trying to be successful. So me personally, first I work on what made me happy on the inside. What triggered you for being to alcohol? And I was had a battle with my identity. I was born as a woman, um, but I am transitioned as a man. My doctor who helped me with my sobriety, because I tried rehab 3 times. So rehab didn't work for me. So I had to find a primary care doctor. And he prescribed some medicine for me to stop the craving. And April the 22nd, once I took it, I ain't never took a drink since that. That was well, that was my first day being sober. So when I went back to see him, he said, "So anything else you want to work on?" And I told him I want to be, I want to be a transgender. He said, "Are you sure about this?" I said, "Yeah." So he was asking me what caused, you know, my addiction and stuff. That's what we were talking about. So he started my testosterone and whatever. He started the process. You got to take your testosterone for a year to to do your little surgery. So like last year I got my little top done, chest removed. So that what made me happy. Once I got doing things that me happy. My name was Rasheen, but it's Raheem. I did a legally change. So when you sober, you can start focus on the important things in your life and you can start moving forward. I wish I had some money in my body, but at the same time, I use what I had to get things done. I had
Yeah.
worked 2 jobs to pay for my surgery. I had worked overnight job and my construction job just to pay for my surgery. And was it tired? Yes, it was tired, but I know I knew I want something done. So it's just like my LLC with the trucking. I put $100. The EIN number is free.
Yeah.
Stuff like that thing is free. The DOT was free. And then they say the MC was $300. Everything I took, I invested, you know, after I worry about my what made me happy.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take care of what make you happy and you trying to start something, it gonna
Right.
collapse. So that's what I did what's important first. What made me happy. And boom, now I'm working on my financial situation. I need to grow financial. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
I'm tired of living. I'm tired of working for cheap dollars. You get what I'm saying?
You made me think of something I've thought of before, which is the hardest job in the world is the one that you don't want to be doing. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you don't want to be doing it, if it doesn't give you something inside, it could be the worst job in the world. But if it's getting you to something that you want, you can endure it every single day. People get up, go to jobs that are tough, that are hard, they're dangerous, they're strenuous, but there's a reason they're there, right? They're trying to accomplish something for themselves, for their family, for their legacy. And so we endure a lot as humans if we want something. When we
Right.
don't know what we want or we don't know what makes us happy, then everything really kind of it gets exponentially harder, and our ability to deal with it and endure it really is goes to zero really fast.
And they say hurt people hurt people. so
Yeah, very true.
so
No, that's true too. Good point.
so that's why you got so many people in this world doing crazy things because they not doing what made them happy. And on that trucking side, a lot of folks complain. It's just like you gonna keep complaining or you gonna do something about it. Like every industry you got, you gonna have your good and bad days.
Yeah.
You gonna have your ups and downs. What I'm learning now, when I first started, is money management is the key.
Yeah.
It's not what you make, and it's not how much you make. It's how much you manage and what you just put in your pocket. Say
Yeah.
you made $100. I hope you don't spend all that $100 at one time. You know you need food and stuff. Put the $20 up to the side. I don't care if it take 5 weeks to save $20. That's just my journey now. Is money management. Working on my money management skills.
Yeah.
If I did accomplish my surgery, I know I could do it to keep my business going.
here's what you know about yourself. You can accomplish amazing things if it's what you want and you put what's in you towards it. You've shown that, whether that's overcoming addiction, doing something that not a lot of people do, which is go out and get their own authority and start their own business and turn that into your next venture here. You know, you've got it in you to do it.
Right. Right. And then no negative gonna stop me either. I
Right.
might get distressed because I'm human. I might get down because I'm human. But I know it's better. Some people probably took their money to buy them a brand new car. Hey, let me tell you, my last car, it was a piece of living. That was my last. That was my last. I said, you just waste. That was a waste.
Yep.
So I said, I just rather walk the work. So I started walking 2.5 hours. Sometime I just walk to the bus stop, get on the bus. All I needed $3 to pay for the bus. That get me all day working for the work or whatever. I did that. I didn't complain. I'm happy catching the bus. I don't care. And I ain't gonna front. The other day, I connected with two financial business, and they were talking, asking me about my business, and they was like they want to help me out. So next week, I probably hear the results. That's why I say you never know what's gonna happen if you don't take steps.
Yeah, for sure. And it's amazing, no matter which journey, which choices you make that turn into which journey, you tend to run into people who accelerate those journeys. And if you're on the path towards success and you're hustling, you tend to meet other hustlers and successful people. When I've started hustling, like it's funny, like I started podcasting a few months ago. I didn't know anything about it. But next thing you know, I'm meeting people like you who are encouraging me along the way and giving me words of confidence, a help up. Hey, let me show you how to do something. People donating their time, their effort, people coming on the show like you and everybody else to share their story with me. I'm a nobody. I'm just trying to share people's stories with the rest of the trucking business, people making time for me. The blessings kind of just come out of the woodwork somehow when you're pointed in the right direction.
Well, you keep going because this trucking industry need a podcast that you got. They need folks to open up and talk about their journey so the next man can know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all these trucking industry on Google, 44 years going down, closing their doors. They need to be on here too. You know, speak to the other generation down the line of what going on to you. You doing the right
I mean,
thing.
and that's part of my story too, which is, I went bankrupt in 2002 in trucking. There were some things, some of it was circumstantial, some of it was my own doing, some of it was I didn't know some things that I needed to know in that moment. So part of my growth and sharing stories with other people is saying, here's what I learned. It might not be applicable to you, and it might be the most important thing you need to hear today. But sharing those stories is how we all get better, and hopefully people can avoid mistakes that some of us have already made many times. And
Right.
helping each other through that and to tell people it's not the end of the world. It seems like it, right? In 2002, it
Right.
seemed like it was the end of my world. Everything I'd worked for to that point in my life, all my blood, sweat, and tears was gone. There was nothing left. And I had to figure out what I was going to do next. But that's also part of the positive story that came next in my life and in trucking too.
So okay, like when the bank, I hear a lot about bankruptcy, but not fully understand it in trucking. Like what they mean when they saying bankruptcy with trucking. I might sound like a dumb question, but
No,
I'm
no,
just
it's I didn't really know what it meant either until I was standing in a lawyer's office going, here's my situation. I have debts, right? I owe money on trucks, I owe money on trailers, and I have some people who owe me money. They haven't paid me. I have other people who owe me money and I think they're going to pay me. And I don't know what to do because I've come to the realization that this is going to end badly and it doesn't seem like I should be booking more loads or buying more fuel and sending drivers out in my trucks if I don't think I can pay them. And I had gone to my banker. He had the loans on several of my trucks. I had about 30 trucks at the time and 30
mm,
trailers. And then I said, look, I've got people who owe me money. but I'm having trouble collecting it from some of them, and I'm running low on cash. I need some cash to help make sure that we can keep this thing going. If I don't get any cash, an operating loan, I'm going to have to probably close the doors. I'm running out of options here. And he looked at my numbers, and I was not very good at explaining my financial situation. I wasn't an accountant. I didn't know accounting. I was just a farm kid who found himself in a multi-million dollar business, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't explain it to a banker. And he looked at my numbers and he said, "Yeah, I don't think we can help you." And I'm like, "You understand that I'm going to have to give a bunch of this equipment back to you, and I can't pay for it anymore." And he's like, "Yeah, I understand, but I can't give you any more money." And so I was pretty much out of options at that point. And then I went and talked to an attorney to go, okay, I don't know what comes next, but I imagine I need some advice. And so he walked me through what the rules are, what you could do, what you could not do. It's funny that we're talking about this because I was talking to a colleague of mine just yesterday. The attorney explained to me what the rules were. And, I was paying him his fee to protect me and make sure I didn't do anything more damaging to me. But I wasn't the only one involved. I had workers, I had people that I had borrowed money from in good faith that were going to get hurt by this. I didn't know the difference between him telling me what I could, the black and white, what the rules were, but also there's a whole bunch of gray. And the attorney's very good at telling you what you paid him to tell you, which was here's how to protect yourself. And I made some choices being young and not knowing things that I really regret 20, 23 years later. I listened to the lawyer's advice because I thought that was the thing to do. And then afterwards, I said, regardless, that wasn't the right thing to do. There were drivers who didn't get fully paid out of that. There were, of course, bankers who didn't get fully paid. And, you know, there's some things, there's certain things in life that you do that you can't ever say you didn't do anymore, right? You'd like to think, I'm an honest person, but I have lied before. So then it's a matter of how honest of a person are you, right? You're not a person who 100% of the time always tells the truth. Same thing
True.
there. Like I want to think I'm an ethical and a moral person. But yeah, that day, those days in 2002, I made some decisions that I regret, and I'll regret them for the rest of my life because it's not the kind of man that I want to be remembered as. But I also can't take them away because I did those things and I made those choices and I was wrong. And so you brought up your faith before. We're talking here the day before Easter Sunday. Um, there's a lot that kind of overlaps in between these topics you and I are talking about, whether it's addiction and the choices we made, whether it's me going bankrupt in trucking and the choices that I made, and forgiving yourself and moving on and realizing that I don't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that person. I made a choice that showed that I was capable of being that thing that I didn't want to be. But every day since then, I haven't been that person. I've been a better person. And it
Come on
doesn't
now.
it doesn't wipe out those choices, but all I can do is be the best person I can be today.
That's it.
That's
Come on now.
it.
That's it. And you preaching. I'm glad. I like
Yeah.
to have one.
And it
Go ahead.
hurts. It hurts to think of those things. And you can't ever go, well, I'm just not going to think about that anymore because I'm not that person anymore. But they creep back in. Trucking's awful about it because a lot of times you're alone and you
Yeah.
oftentimes can't control where your mind, the track that it goes down, but you got to work your way back to the right track and the positive and what you can do today. You don't want to let go of yesterday because, to your point, it's part of the story that made you who you are today. It's part of what made me who I am today. But I also have to know that I can't just live in the past either. And I've got to remember that I've got good things to do today and make things better.
That's right. That's right. Because believe it or not, I was literally a negative person. When I say negative person, that wasn't who I was. That was that drink. Every time I drink, that's when I speak, act crazy or whatever. Every time I drink, but I needed that alcohol, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was a really an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it's like when he took that taste out of my mouth in 2022. It's just like I was like trying to come out my shell to talk to people and stuff like that. But sooner or later, man, baby, you can't. Sometimes you can't tell me to shut up. Sometimes no, sometimes sometimes you got to tell me to shut up right now. And then and folks don't understand why I do the things that I do now because I never used to speak like how I speak
Yeah.
about my sobriety, about my what I used to be. And like you say, you got to be the change that you want to see. And when I did the quotes for insurance, try to get me
Yep.
another insurance, the guy say the insurance agent said, "What was on your driver on your MVR?" And I got quiet. I got
Hmm.
quiet. So he said, "Give me your driver license. Give me your driver license number." So I gave him my driver license number. And about 5 minutes later, he said, "Oh, it's clean. Your MVR clean." So the reason why I made this point because sometimes we don't need to say a word when we trying to get through a thought. It's not about that we lie. It's about we sometimes we speak out of our blessing because we know what we did in our past and the door we trying to open, they don't know what
Yeah.
we did. But sometimes we open our mouth so much and we speak before it being even asked about our past. God already wiped our past away. That the person that we trying to get, that the door that we trying to open don't see our past. Because God already wiped it away. You get what I'm saying?
Yep,
So
you
I'm not
do.
trying to preach, but my faith is bigger than what my pocket could. I can have $0 right now, and I probably got $1. But I'm just, I can, but I can have $0, right? But you would think I'm the richest person on this earth, the way my faith is, and I ain't gonna talk your head off. But it's a dude when I was sitting at Love, you know, he was a homeless guy. He said, "Pick a number or whatever." So we was playing a pick a number game. So he sat at the table, got his pen and paper out his pocket, and he said, "We sometimes we got to get through the 10 no's in order for us to get to that one yes."
Yeah.
And you know why a lot of folks don't to that yes because they give up on that last no. They just give up, and they didn't know that they was on that yes. See,
Yeah.
and that's another thing we could get connected with folks to give us encouragement to keep going on the journey that we're going on. We need to work together. No matter if we know each other or not, we need to stick together. Even at the truck stop, talk to your fellowship with your brothers and sisters. You never know what the next man dealing with inside that truck. You
Yeah.
never know. You never know what people deal with. So I love everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same. Yep. It's really, you have no idea what everybody's going through, what struggle. And so when you've got something to give, give it happiness, an encouraging word, a hello, a let me get that for you, right? And
Right.
you don't know the ripple effect of that thing happening into the next thing and the next thing, and you don't know who needs to hear that thing today. It might be 5 steps down from your hello or your good morning, but it tends to find its way to the person who needs it. Cal, I think he was my guest on maybe episode 2 or 3. Big Cal. He does coffee with Cal in the mornings, and he just gives encouraging words. It's a couple minutes, nothing strenuous, no heavy lifting, no philosophy. It's just good morning. I hope you have a great day. And at least somebody, because there's a lot of loneliness in this business, even with all the technology that we've got. There's a lot of people who are alone and don't have someone to say good morning. I hope you have a great day. It's a lot of times Cal will do, I don't know what he calls it, but tuck in with Cal and just saying good night. Have happy thoughts and sleep well tonight. and be ready for tomorrow. It's going to be a great day for each other. Well, Raheem, it was great
Yeah,
talking to you. Amazing meeting you. We're going to have to stay in
same to you.
touch. We'll have to hear about how the new thing's going with your Home Depot gig, and I wish all the blessings for you.
Me too. You keep doing this. I mean, you good. I
Uh,
appreciate you for having me.
you
Stay in
too.
touch. Oh yeah,
Thanks.
I need to share the video on Facebook so everybody can get sober.
That's right. Well, take
All
care.
right.
Happy
You too.
Easter.
Same to you.
Bye bye.